Hello everyone, I am Viji from the Department of Education, MS University. Today we are going to learn about inclusive education in this model. In this model, we have an overview of what is the concept of inclusive education, principles of inclusive education, and who are the target groups of inclusive education. Let us start with a story. Meet this girl Kriya, who is 10 years old. She suffers from cerebral palsy, which is a partial damage to the brain. She uses a wheelchair to move around with the help of someone else. She has the ability to sing sweetly and she likes to become a musical teacher also in future. She likes to go to school and to learn like the other normal children, but she faces a lot of barriers in her life. Some of the important barriers are the attitude of the people who is pointing her disability, rejection by the schools in which she entered. If also some schools gave admission, there is no appropriate infrastructure facilities for her to move independently, and also other physical issues. Because of these barriers, her life is not at all sweet. She is excluded from her daily activities. So, what can we do for this? We have to accept her disability. We have to include her in the school, respect her, and respond to her positively and make her actively participate in her learning activities. So, this concept is known as inclusion. Inclusion means accepting the people with hearing impairment, visual impairment, people who are using wheelchairs, people with speech disabilities, people with intellectual disabilities, and also other disabilities into the general school and provide appropriate instruction to them with the help of support services and to enhance their learning activity. According to UNESCO, inclusion is a dynamic approach of responding positively to the diversity of the learners and seeing in the individual differences not as a problem, but it is taken as an opportunity for enriching their learning program. So, inclusion is seen as the process of addressing and responding the diverse nature of all the students in a classroom and thus increasing the participation of all the learners across their culture, communities, and all the barriers and reduce their exclusion and helping them with all the support services. Then coming to the principles of inclusion. What are the components or what are the principles that underlie inclusive education? These are the four principles which forms the component of inclusive education. The first one is accessibility, the second one is availability, third one is acceptability, and fourth one is adaptability. Acceptability means the institutions and the programs that are given to these children must be accessible to them without any racial discrimination or any other discrimination with reasonable accommodations, and they must be able to get into the school without any problems, and there must be economic access also. Availability, then coming to the second principle of inclusive education, that is availability. Educational institutions and programs that are offered to these children must be sufficient in quantity. This is the principle of availability. Next come as acceptability. Accepting the disability of that particular child and giving prioritization only to inclusiveness and not segregating that child. This is the key element of acceptability. So here, other than inclusiveness, we can also give choice to select the languages. That is, if a child with hearing impaired is in the classroom, we can go for sign language. If there is a child with visual impairment, then we can go for braille language. So this is the principle of acceptability. Next comes adaptability. We have to meet the needs of these students, and there must be flexibility in their curriculum, in their transactions, and also in all their academic activities. There must be reasonable accommodation for these students, and also there must be support services like language therapist, counselors, psychiatrists, etc. for assisting these students. Next, coming to the target groups. Who are the target groups of inclusive education? To whom uh, this type of education should be given? So, inclusion thus involves a broad vision of educating all the children, irrespective of all the barriers, adopting the appropriate curriculum, assistive technology, infrastructure facilities, etc. And it addresses the spectrum of children who are in need of education, who are vulnerable or who are marginalized, who are depressed, and who are excluded from the society. These groups are called the target groups, and the main focus of inclusive education is to target this group and to give education to these children. So these marginalized, excluded, vulnerable groups are called the target groups. So see, this is the child with disability, child laborers, refuged or displaced children, ethnic minorities, children subjected to abuse, religious minorities, poverty child, language minorities. These are some of the target groups to whom inclusive education is supposed to be given. So see, these are the examples of the target groups of inclusive education. Hope you all understand the concept of inclusive education and what are the principles that are behind or which forms the basic for inclusive education and who are the target groups of inclusive education. Thank you.